just wanted to tell them my story because it's living proof, and it's got nothing to do with me. It went through a bunch of doctors and all that stuff, and a lot of people don't really know exactly what's going on. They know I've been feeling a little rough. So I wanted to just go over, take like 10 minutes of your time, just tell you exactly what happened in the whole thing. So I talked to them for a while, and I told them the deal. So I want to go over it with you guys too. First, I want to thank all of you guys for all your gifts and all your prayers and standing behind me with the church, and 100%, and just always praying for me and always thinking about me. Before, when we would meet on Sundays, we could, we would see each other, and it's easier that way. But if you don't even see me at all, and you're still praying for me and thinking about me, that's huge. You know what I mean? So this all started in February, toward the end of February, when I was getting like massive pains in my chest, and I was totally out of breath. I was like winded no matter what I did. I'd go run to the second floor to my bedroom, and I felt like I ran around a block. So I had a bunch of doctor's appointments, and right away the doctor said he thought maybe I had COVID-19, so he sent me for the test. He said that's one of the things is always you can't catch your breath, and that's exactly what it was, what I had. And so that came back negative, obviously. So he sent me for a bunch of other tests, and this took a couple of weeks. And it progressed. It got worse and worse, and the pain in my chest was always there, and it felt horrible. So I went for a couple of tests, and I went for an ultrasound, and they, through he transferred me to a heart doctor. So they did the ultrasound, and they said, things look okay, but we have to send you for the nuclear stress test. That's gonna, that checks all your blood flow and how everything's working in your body, so we can really pinpoint what's going on. So I had to wait a little while, and then he sets me up for this nuclear stress test. And you walk on the treadmill, and they shoot dye into you, and then they make you run for so long, and they do the dye again, and then they sit you down for a little while. Then they put you in this X-ray machine that takes pictures of everything that's going on. And so I did all that, and then a day later, this guy calls me back, the heart doctor, and says, "We know why the shortness of breath and why you've been with the pains in your chest." He said, "We see a blockage." And he said, I have to refer you to this other doctor that does the catheterization through your arteries, and he can open the blockage for you. He doesn't do it. He checks you out, finds out the problem, sends you to this other guy. You go through surgery from another doctor. So he tells me there's a blockage, and he says, I'm going to send all your paperwork and all that to him. He'll look through it all, and he'll call you, and he'll set the appointment up. So I wait another day or so, and I'm like, I'm already thinking a little weird, saying, here we go, now I got a blockage. No wonder why I can't breathe and all this stuff. And, it gets worse and worse. And I'm like, great, how long is it going to take before I can get the surgery done, So I wait a day or two, and then this other doctor who's going to do the surgery, he calls me back, said, I looked over everything. We got to do a, catheterization. We got to go in probably through your groin, he says, either that or your wrist. We're not sure just yet. And we'll open it up for you, and you'll be back to normal. And I asked him, how long is it going to take? And, when can I go back to work and all this stuff? And then he's like, well, I want to start you on this medication right away. I'll call it into your pharmacy. You got to get started on it. And then he gives me this medicine that slows my heart rate down. Then he gives me another medicine. It's a cholesterol medicine. And then he starts me on this baby Tylenol I got to take every day. So now I'm doing this medication, and he sets my appointment up for a week. And, it's over at St. Anne's Hospital. And, while all this is going on, my wife's posting it, and everybody's praying for me at the church. And, getting all these praise reports, and, everybody's thinking about me, you know what I mean? And it's great. And so I go for this catheterization thing, and I talk to the doctor the morning of, and they get me all prepared and all that stuff. And he comes in, he's like, all right, I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going in through your right wrist, through the artery there. And I know what's causing the shortness of breath. And he said, I know right where to go, and we'll take care of it. It'll be easy. We won't have to go through the groin and all this stuff. He says, if I can't clear it just sign this paper, because if it's a little worse than what we think, he says, you might have to go for the bypass. We'll get you up and we'll have to, set it up for the following day. So, I'm a little nervous, obviously, you know what I mean, with all this going on. I'm like, here we go. I hope everything's going to go good. And sign the paper. And then they take me in, and they do the whole procedure. And when he's finished, he comes to me, because I'm kind of in and out, you know what I mean? I'm still awake, and they kind of sedate you a little bit. The doctor comes to me while I'm still awake. He said, can you hear me? I said, yeah, I can hear you. He's like, we went in, checked everything up and down. He said, there's no blockage in you. You're 100%. He said, there's not one thing wrong with your heart. He said, I've never seen anything better than the pictures we've taken, and of inside, and checked all the valves, did the measurements. You're perfect. There's nothing wrong with you.
That's awesome.
And it's unbelievable. So I'm thinking, I'm like, this went from one doctor where he does all the tests, he sees it, sends it to this other guy, he overlooks it, notices it, sets me up for the operation, and then I go in for all this stuff, and it's 100%. It's like, it's mind blowing. You know what I mean?
Right.
And another thing I want to say too is Sunday, when I ended up right before my operation was Thursday, but Sunday when I went right before on Sunday, I was watching the pastor preach the 9:00 service that Sunday morning. That's the day I went into the hospital, and I could feel the presence of God in my living room. It was just me and my wife, and we were watching the whole service, listening to the pastor preach. And then my wife started praying over me, and I was praying with her, and it got really intense, and I tell you, I was slain with the Holy Spirit. And I never felt anything like this in my life. My whole body was pins and needles. I kid you not, from my bottom of my feet to the top of my head, just like they say, it was pins and needles. It was like my whole body was asleep, and I could not move. So while my wife was praying over me, and I was praying and stuff, and then when this happened, I kind of opened my eyes, and she looked at me. She said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "I can't move my body." And my hands were like kind of crunched up, and I couldn't move. And she got afraid, and she called the ambulance. That's why I ended up in the hospital on Sunday, because she thought like something bad was going on, that I was having another reaction from me not being able to breathe good, So she called the ambulance, and I ended up going to the hospital. But as soon as when they came into the house, I couldn't move. They ended up picking me up and putting me in like a chair thing and wheeled me out. But as soon as they got me in the back of the ambulance, they sat in front of the house for a couple of minutes. My body started to feel better. My senses started to come back. I felt 100% there. That was the day I knew I was healed. When I felt that going through my body, almost paralyzed it. It was like there was work getting done inside of me. And whatever it was, I felt like that I was healed that Sunday morning, and I was clean of from all the prayers from the church, and from listening to pastor, and everything going on just hit me all at once, and it took over my body, and it healed me,